Well, so I had a couple of questions on the bottom of the last video, making reference to how do we know that it's going to be a double quad 2. Um, Darius has been talking about it for a long time. Well, definitely since November. He really hit the gas on this double quad 2 at the beginning of November. He's tweeted about it, so follow him. Keith tweets, well, I guess similar to the macro show. Keith tweets in the morning, shows all of his, like the trend and trade levels of all the different assets, copper and whatever, to show that thing, to show that part of it. It's very similar to how he presents the macro show. And Darius, you can see that the macro show, when Darius is on there, is very different. His tweets are in line with how he presents the macro show when he does. Not very often in a minute. But his is obviously down in the weeds of the data as opposed to the trade, if that makes more sense. So this is the quad map. You can see this is the projected Q1 of 2021, the estimate. So this is where we just were, which is Q4, Q1 21, and this line goes up here somewhere. So on this axis, okay, Q2 is way up here. So if you think Q1 is going well now, look at where the projection is for Q2. It's going, the line's going up this way somewhere, okay? And then come in, look. Now, we can pick either this one or this one. I don't know which, okay? He's not zoomed, he's zoomed in now. Obviously, he had to try to bring in the Q4 in, quad 4 in Q2 of 2020 down here, okay? But he's zoomed in on the chart now, so either we've got this one or this one. So when we go Q1 here, Q2 somewhere up here, and then where are we coming back? Are we coming back this way to right deep quad 4? Or are we coming this way? Kind of less deflation, which, well, we've got the right axis, but yeah. So if you think Q1 here, Q2 here, and then Q3 is one of these two black lines. So down here somewhere, okay? So making that big shift, so you don't want to be front running one of these lines just yet, because Q2 is going right up here somewhere, okay? So yeah, that's in answer to one of the questions. So we left it in the last video looking at this chart, and I've just expanded it out, going back to about August time. If you've been a sub over the last year, these two dips were the kind of the flirting with Q4. How is it pricing in Q4? Okay, and then very early in November, it was apparent that from the vol and everything else that Keith was saying that it's priced in Q4 early, and November was the big shift again back into front running this double quad 2. Okay. So these are the dips in September, October, and then away to the races. There is another longer dated chart. I tried to make a video yesterday and I just got all tangled up in words and stuff and things, and it didn't really make any sense. So I've put that on the back burner to... So this is for 100 days showing the different quads, and I do have one chart that shows the transition of every quad. But like I said, my simplification, I tried to explain this before, my simplification doesn't do quad 2 justice, because I only have one commodity position, because that's all Darius shares on his quad data sheet. He only really shares one currency position and one commodity position. As we know, round about in here in November time, you wouldn't have one commodity position. You could tell from the macro show Keith would have had 4, 5, 6 commodity positions. So this line would have been even higher. Okay, so I will try, and I'll try and make that longer dated chart a bit better, but suffice to say that the answer's still the same. You know, there's lots of questions about what extra products should I add? And you know, in one answer to I think it was Trudy on a YouTube question, it's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to have one of the best ways of managing your long-term financial position, but do that once a month, and then, you know, go and play with your kids, or go and learn a language, or go and do stuff? You know, then ETF Pro is amazing for whatever it is, $30 or $40 a month. That is that's just amazing. You know, once a month. Not even that. Sometimes there's no changes month to month. You know, you would far outrun almost anything around for $30 or $40 a month. If then you want to start adding in risk ranges in order to, you know, sell a little bit of the ETFs that are doing well and are at the top of the range to then buy again, that's all well and good, but it depends what you want to do. And I don't know whether, you know, people have a little bit more time now, they're at home and there's not as much to do, so they want to learn how to do all these stuff and things and trade around, and like that's fine. Then really, if you want to do that, then you need to get everything, because the next slide that I'm going to show you is again about combining the different products. So it really depends what you want to get out of it. If you want to learn how to be a hedge fund manager, then get everything. Get all of it, because the more that you have and the more time you put into it, it'll pay itself back. Sometimes, especially in quad 2, it could pay itself back in weeks. You know, getting the full subscription to the package and adding some sector pros and whatnot, it could pay itself back within weeks, if not months. So it really depends what you want to get out of it. Yeah, so this, again, it's make the allocation to the quad, which allows you then to, if you want to mess around with risk ranges, it allows you to do it from a position of strength, where you're not trying to chase as the price of something is going up to try and add to get up to a 6% allocation if it's a sector ETF. You need to buy it when it feels like crap. You know, 2-3 weeks ago, that was a perfect example. Even yesterday, so today's Friday the 19th, so yesterday you had everyone talking about the Vixpiration and all sorts of stuff. Ooh, you know, if you've maxed out your positions yesterday or over the last few days, then going forward into next week, you'll be able to make better decisions when things get to the top of the range, instead of being like, oh, well, Keith's closed his real-time alert, but I'm still only at a 3% position in whatever it is, XLE, but Keith's closing some of it. Well, that's because you didn't buy enough of it when it felt really crap, when it was down. You know, when it was here or here, you're trying to add to the position while it's going up here. And again, that's making decisions that are reactive instead of proactive. When it feels like crap and people are making videos about the world ending and stuff, is where you want to buy. Okay. So again, I keep banging on about this and combining the different products. So XLU, I showed this on a previous video a couple of weeks ago when it was up here. Okay, if you can remember back to there, and obviously it was a good time to put your shorts on. But if you only have risk ranges, you know, if XLU starts to get up between, you know, 62.5 and 63, you could be starting to add in your shorts. Okay, but this is where you have to combine it with, or it's best to combine it with ETF Pro. This is what I got caught out with in the past, because XLU could still go up 2.5%. So you could be starting to add in shorts here. You know, you might have done an amazing trade, an excellent trade, because in, you know, previously the top of the risk range was up here, more similar to ETF Pro. Added shorts, rode all these shorts down, sold at the bottom of the range. Fantastic, great trade, okay? Now you're down to instead of a 3%, you're down to a 1.5% position or a 1% position. So you could start adding back in here and then ride it all the way up for another 2.5%. Okay, I don't know, maybe you get to here and you're already at 3%. So as it keeps going and going and going and going and going, you're going underwater and underwater, and you think, oh, this is never going to go down, and then you close it and you make a bad decision. Okay. Risk ranges is amazing, and Keith talks about his trend, trade, and tail. So trade, trend, and tail, excuse me. Trade, trend, and then the bigger one is tail, okay? You could be making decisions based on the trade, and if you're sat in the seat and constantly managing it, that's fantastic. But if you're not, if you're a little bit longer term, you're still in, full-time job, kids, whatever, you could make a decision here when perhaps you need to be making a decision over at this time frame, okay? So the risk ranges is fantastic. ETF Pro is fantastic, but when you combine it together, it's even better, because now, I'm not adding into positions in XLU until we get in line with ETF Pro. Now, of course, it's Friday, so ETF Pro is going to be updated again on Monday. Excuse me, the ranges, the prices for ETF Pro. So, the price may come down, whatever, but just be careful about making decisions on here when you can combine it with the price here and realize that I'm adding into my position and I'm at, I've nailed it. I'm back at a 3% short position on XLU at 63, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going, because on the slightly longer time frame, it could go all the way to 64. So, and if you also have real-time alerts, you can see that Keith is massively bullish. No shorts, I think 10 or 11 longs at the minute, and they're all, high beta, small cap. So if you combine risk ranges with ETF Pro and in real-time alerts, the fact that he's super bullish is, even though XLU is expected to go down as a short in this quad, the overall market going up could still pull it higher. Okay, so there you've combined three things. You've combined risk ranges, ETF Pro, and then you've been, just had a bit of a discretionary thought in line with real-time alerts and said, right, he's super bullish, so I don't want to be adding on any shorts. Okay, so you could turn what might have been a fantastic short trade and then ruin it by executing it again at the wrong time. Adding back into your short position. Okay, so that's just a thought. Hope that's helpful. This is like the polar opposite of the last video. I'm not sure, maybe 10 days ago. Well, here we go. I'm going to show you. So the 5th. So yeah, 2 weeks ago. So the 5th and the 10th. So yeah, 2 weeks ago, it's the polar opposite. ETF Pro is up here, lots of green. Risk ranges was up here, lots of green, and now you're in the opposite position. You're smack bang in the middle. So I've done it in the past. You could end up layering back into this short at the wrong time and then ride it back up, feel like crap, and maybe make the wrong decision up here. This is the kind of perfect position of questions in the queue. Will XLU ever go down? XLU's going up. Are we transitioning to quad 4? Those are those sorts of questions. It's because people have made decisions here, okay, when maybe they need to be making decisions here by combining the two things. Okay. So yeah, thank you for following along. Subscribers are going up. Yeah, so please, any questions and any suggestions, stuff you want me to, stuff that people are struggling with, and I can try and explain it from at least from my experience of what I've done and from the mistakes that I've made, and try and help you not make the same mistakes. So yeah, any questions or comments, fire them down below, and have a good day and have a good weekend. Cheers. Bye.